Hey guys, welcome to today's video. We've got two interesting hearings to cover. Started with one of my favorite judges to watch, Judge Chisholm, and then moving on to a case involving a grandma named Karen, who has tried a protection order against her daughter and son, even though she hasn't had any contact with them for nearly 3 years. But before we dive into that, I want to thank today's sponsor, Chapter. Many people on Medicare end up paying hundreds or even thousands of dollars extra each year because they're put into the wrong Medicare plan, often by insurance brokers who care more about commissions than actually helping. Chapter was founded to change that after the founders saw their own parents fall victim to this greedy system. When you call Chapter, you'll speak to a real person who will walk you through all the available plans to find the one that's right for you. Best of all, the call is completely free. And with the average senior saving over $1,000 a year, who wouldn't want some extra money back in their pockets? Just call the number on the screen or visit the link in the description to see if you can save or confirm that you already have the best plan. Huge thanks again to Chapter for sponsoring this video. Now, let's get started.
Mr. Cartwright, if you could unmute yourself, please. There you go. This is 25RO02127. This is a speeding ticket that was issued on April 11th, about 10:30 in the evening on Woodward near Webster, and you were cited 60 and a 45. You can admit or deny responsibility, or you can admit responsibility with an explanation. How do you wish to proceed?
I deny responsibility. I don't believe I was speeding at all. And based off of the
You could
original,
raise your right hands, please. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth?
yes,
Okay, the officer will testify first, please.
Okay, so I was going northbound, Woodward, while the defendant was going southbound. I had my front moving opposite radar on, so I was reading the southbound traffic. I got a reading of his vehicle at 60 miles an hour in a 45 mile an hour zone. After he passed my vehicle still going southbound, I activated the rear radar, which also confirmed the same speed as when he originally passed me, at which time I followed him for a little bit and then eventually pulled him over.
And what can you tell me about the radar, please?
One, I'm certified to use the radar, and before the shift starts, we test the radar to make sure it's functioning properly, and then at the end of our shift, we also make sure it functions properly in between traffic stops.
Mr. Cartwright?
yes. When the officer pulled me over, there were two things that he said that weren't related to speeding. I was moving in and out of the lane. I wasn't staying straight in the lane. That was the first thing. And the second thing was that he believed that I was under the influence of alcohol, which was a major issue on my end, considering that he gave me the breathalyzer test and I blew a 0.00. That is concerning to me because this is my third time this has happened in Royal Oak, where I've been pulled over and given the breathalyzer test, and I come back clean, and it's something else. It's always, well, you were speeding. So I just have issues with that personally.
I can understand why you might have issues, especially considering your listening problem, but the officer already explained why he pulled you over. Both his forward-facing and rear-facing radar clocked you at 60 miles per hour in a 45 zone. All the other things you keep bringing up may feel inconvenient, but they're completely irrelevant to the situation at hand.
Well, if they see a car speeding and they see a car weaving around in the time of day, you think it's a surprise that they might think that somebody that was driving like that would be drinking?
Well, no, because if you don't believe that you're speeding, and first of all, I have a car that doesn't even allow you to just move into another lane and swerve around. The car that I have doesn't even allow that. So that's the first indicator. And two, the fact that it was said that I was smelling like liquor and then I blow a 0.00, it's a low level of credibility for me. Now, had he had pulled me over and said that I was speeding, and then that would have been the gist of the call, then I would have a little bit more credibility in that particular situation. But saying that I'm under the influence and then saying that I could be drunk and to find out I blow a 0.00, I just think there's some credibility issues to me.
When you say that there's credibility issues, do you mean with your credibility or with the officer's credibility?
With the officers, I mean, if it appears that I am under the influence of liquor, and you say you smell alcohol, that was also something that he said, was that you smell like alcohol, and I didn't drink, I didn't smell like alcohol, or and those two things raise a sense of concern. And the fact that I get pulled over, and this is my third time taking a breathalyzer test in Royal Oak, which I've never been guilty of any of those things, it concerns me about credibility. I'm not saying the officer is incredible. It just concerns me that there's some other issues, especially at 10 o'clock when there's a million young kids driving down the street, making noise and speeding. I'm the one that's being pulled over. I don't understand. It's just concerning to me. I love Royal Oak and I like to be in Royal Oak, but I get pulled over so many times in Royal Oak, and it just concerns me about reasons of me being picked on, or however, whatever, however you want to look at that. I don't understand why it's okay to give someone a breathalyzer test.
I don't know. Maybe the officer was just trying to avoid the hassle of dragging you down to the station or to a hospital to get your blood drawn. If you were already swerving when he got behind you, I don't think it's unreasonable for him to ask you to take a breathalyzer test.
And by the way, if I was drunk, he forced me to go all the way to the right lane in the middle of traffic where a car almost ran into me. Now, mind you, if I was intoxicated, that would be a terrible decision. So we went from the first left lane speed lane, or if you want to call it the third left lane, and he tells me to start my car again and merge over to the right while there's traffic. And one car actually almost hit me. He had to put the lights on. I mean, it's just, I don't know, but maybe that's just the way they do things. It's just concerns to me, and I wanted to speak freely. That's why I didn't get my lawyer involved, because I am concerned about this experience and my continuous experience in Royal Oak.
The only thing you haven't spoken about is your speed.
Well, I said that I don't believe, I did from the beginning. I said that I don't believe I was speeding, because that's not the first thing that he said. The first thing he said was I was swerving in the lane, or I was swerving around between lanes. And then the next thing was, you smell like alcohol. So, I mean, speeding wasn't even a conversation. I don't even recall that being a conversation. I'm not saying it wasn't. I don't recall that.
Okay. The officer is certified to operate radar. He checked the unit before and after his shift. It worked at the beginning, it worked at the end. He measured your speed with his front moving radar at 60 miles an hour in a 45 zone. He then measured your speed with the rear moving radar. It stayed at 60 in the 45, and he wrote you for that. And the conversation about weaving isn't on the ticket. The fact that you took the preliminary breath test and showed that there was no alcohol is really a good thing. So that saved you some issues. And the bottom line here, you didn't think you were speeding, but he measured your speed twice with radar, and it didn't change. Two different modes on the radar. So you have paid a bond on, I do believe you're responsible for the reasons that I just said. And you've paid the bond on this matter, so the bond will be applied. That's
fine. Just stop pulling over black people, officer.
Give me a break. I was actually leaning toward your side in all of this until you decided to play the race card. It was 10:30 at night, and the officer was driving on the opposite side of the road. Realistically, it's far more likely that the radar in his car picked up your speed before he ever noticed the color of the driver's skin in the middle of the night.
Saying they're drunk, because I honestly don't understand this at all. Why you would give somebody a breathalyzer test when they haven't been drinking and they
drive
pour
60 miles an hour on Woodward Avenue and expect
I don't believe I was, and no, you or anyone else can tell me differently. I don't believe it.
Well,
but
then there's no point in talking.
And just like that, Judge Chisholm cuts him off and moves on to the next case. And so do we. Now we're heading to Colorado, where we've got a woman, a classic Karen, who is trying to get protection order against her son and daughter. Her reasoning? They said some mean things to her several years ago, despite the fact that she hasn't had any contact with them since.
All right. The court is calling 25C120 and 25C121. 25C120 is Agneta Noshtikal. How do you pronounce your last name, ma'am?
Well, it's Nachtigall. I mean, he can say it better than I can, of course.
Nachtigall. So Agneta Nachtigall versus Karen Nachtigall. And the other case, 25C121, is Agneta Nachtigall versus Carl Nachtigall. And these are your son and daughter?
Yes.
I really get concerned about these types of protection orders. All right, so I'm going to give you some general information, Ms. Nachtigall. I am going to take testimony from you, and it is your burden to prove by a preponderance of the evidence that a risk or threat of physical harm or threat of psychological or emotional harm exists to you from your son and daughter. If I find that that risk or threat of physical harm or threat of psychological or emotional harm does exist, I would grant you a temporary protection order and set a permanent protection order hearing. Of course, today I would only be hearing from one side in the case. If it is set for a permanent protection order hearing, then Ms. Carl Nachtigall and Karen Nachtigall would both be served with the papers that you have filed and appear, and it would be a court trial where, again, it is your burden to prove by a preponderance of the evidence that the acts which you allege occurred and that they will continue to occur in the future. That is your burden to prove. You have to be prepared for a court trial on that day where you would present any testimony or evidence that you have and any exhibits that you might have. Exhibits are things like documents or photographs or other things. And then you would present your testimony and evidence, and Ms. Karen Nachtigall and Mr. Carl Nachtigall would have an opportunity to ask you questions, or if they have an attorney, the attorney could ask you questions. And then once you've concluded your side of the story, then they can present their side of the story. And you, or if you have an attorney, would have the opportunity to cross-examine them and their witnesses. And then I will make a decision as to whether you have met your burden to prove by a preponderance of the evidence that the acts that you allege in your verified complaint occurred, and they will continue to occur in the future. Do you understand the process? Do you have any questions about the process? You have questions, or you understand? I'm sorry, I asked you two questions.
I
Okay.
understand.
All right. If you could raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right. State your name for the record.
Agneta Nachtigall.
Could you move that microphone closer to you, ma'am?
Agneta Nachtigall.
Okay, and let's start with your protection order against Karen Nachtigall. Why do you believe that she is a risk, or that she poses a risk or threat of physical harm or threat of psychological or emotional harm to you?
She has been doing it ever since she moved to Colorado. She's been mean and nasty.
Sure, being mean and nasty can be awful, but you don't have to keep surrounding yourself with people you don't like. And at the end of the day, a protection order isn't meant to shield someone from unpleasant or rude people. That's just not its purpose.
So
So,
what,
as soon as she put her foot in our house, she started being mean to me. And
but, protection orders aren't about people being mean or nice. What is she doing specifically that causes you to feel she poses a risk or threat of physical harm or psychological or emotional harm? What is she doing specifically?
but I guess it's kind of hard to say. I kept on running away from her because she's mean, and locked myself in my bedroom. and I started to get high blood pressure in the beginning. And I didn't want to say anything to my husband and to say anything. So I kept it all inside for years. And then finally, it became so bad. I was telling him all the things he was doing to me. And then my heart started feeling weird. And then I ended up having a stroke. And then my doctor, of course, he wanted to know if I knew where I got a stroke. I said, yeah, I'm afraid of my daughter. Yeah, she's, the way she acts and behaves,
So what is she doing specifically that causes you concern?
there's so much. She's
Well,
very,
tell me
very
what-
sneaky.
1 second. What has she done in August that you feel?
Okay. When I wrote her that note, it's been about a year and a half now that stay far away from me. So she has stayed far away from me. She has not come around and I have not talked to her. But she's using my son as a supply and my granddaughters as a supply to be mean and nasty. And just recently, my husband, when he goes and see his daughter and son, he comes home and he's not like the same person. He's like nervous. And I'm looking at him, I thought, what's going on here? And that one day, after acting weird for 3 days to 4 days, just staring at me and acting crazy. I mean, not crazy, but acting strange. And then all of a sudden he goes crying like a baby and he says, I can't do it. I can't do it.
Something tells me he wasn't crying because of the kids. He was crying because you kept belittling him right in front of everyone, and he just couldn't take it anymore. The problem is, he doesn't know how to tell you that without risking sending you into full-on meltdown mode.
But what does that mean, Ms. Noctegal? I'm still not understanding what it sounds like what you're telling me is Karen Noctegal is not having contact with you. Is that correct?
I told her not to because I'm going to call 911.
So she's obeying that. So why are you feeling you need a protection order?
Because she's using my grandchildren and my son. And
Using
if I go, he was going to take me to the market this one time, and he contacted his sister and said, I'm taking mom to Safeway Market. And they know I'm very sensitive. And I'm afraid I'm going to get another stroke. And I got a mini stroke because I knew what she was up to. And I still have side effects from that last...
So what is she up to? I don't understand. I'm still not hearing facts that really are helpful. What is she up to that causes?
She's slandering me. She is
slandering.
What
does she say about you? What do you mean she's slandering you?
How can I explain this? She also gets my grandchildren to verbal abuse me or do something abusing, and my son.
And how do you know this and what are the grandkids saying?
Well, my two grandchildren. I had a Christmas party, and that was about 3 years ago. And for my grandchildren only. My daughter would not leave. She didn't want to drop her boys off, and then after we had eating the party, and we were going to go open some Christmas present, I knew my daughter was up to something, and she sat down by the fireplace, and then when my granddaughter walked by me, and she just verbal abused me, nasty words.
What did she say? 3 years
I
ago?
don't even remember, and I don't want to remember it because the way it happened was nasty. I was sitting on the sofa, and my daughter goes, "Oh, I heard that," and she's laughing, and she thought I was funny that my granddaughter, was going to say those words. And then my granddaughter was so embarrassed, and she didn't even want to hang around to open presents. She just ran to the bathroom with her phone and stayed in there the most of the party. And then
3 years ago? There's nothing,
it's about 3-4 years ago that happened.
so has anything happened this year? Just the Safeway incident where your son called your daughter and said he was taking you to the store? Is that all that's happened this year?
I misunderstood you. So, no.
Well, I'm asking 3 years ago is a long time, and you don't remember exactly what your granddaughter said. And we don't know if you're saying that the granddaughter said that because of your daughter. But I guess what I'd like to have you focus on is what's happened more recently, like this year.
Well, my younger daughter, Sabina, it happened this year, okay?
Okay.
We were taking her out to Hungry Bear for luncheon. And she had just come from my daughter's house. And she asked if she could look at my phone, okay? And I said, okay. And I said, since you want to look at my phone, you can see what's wrong with my sound at this point, because there's something wrong with it. Anyway, she looked guilty. And but anyway, after we left, we followed her because we were going to go down the street, and she thought she was going to fool me, I guess. So she went past where she usually turns to go up to her house. My daughter's house is behind Walgreens up in the hill. So she went further down, and then she turned around and she went back to go up to her house. So then when I got
To whose house? To Sabina's house? Or to your daughter's house?
my daughter's house.
Daughter Karen's house?
Yeah, Karen.
Sorry.
And when I got home, I was going to use my phone, and she erased everything.
Sabina did?
Mm-hmm.
Sabina is not a party to this case. So are you, you're not asking for a protection order against Sabina?
No, I'm not afraid of them. I just stay as far as I can from them.
Yeah.
And my granddaughter Cora, I stay away from, because I don't know what else they're going to do to me. And I stay away from Sabina. And my son, he's been bullying me like crazy. So
When you say bullying, what do you mean by that?
well, he's on top of me, just
What do you,
calling me names and all kinds of stuff.
What names is he calling you?
I don't want to remember them. I really don't.
Have to. Otherwise, I can't give you a protection order. So you have to remember.
Okay, then you cannot give me a protection order. That's it then.
I get that you're just trying to sound offensive, but honestly, that's the whole point. If you can't even remember why you supposedly need protection order against someone who did something 3 years ago, then maybe you don't actually need a protection order in the first place.
Okay.
So I just have to be worried and get more strokes. I still have a side effect of the mini stroke I had. It's going back and forth. My head and brain is just.
And I'm sorry that that's happening to you, but I have to follow the law, Ms. Nachtigall. And that means you have to prove that, and proving means you have the burden to prove that you are entitled to a protection order. And so I need facts.
My daughter, they sneak around, so nobody will know that they're sneaking around on me. They do everything behind my husband's back, everything. They don't do it in front of him.
Well, I don't even know what that means. They're doing everything behind his back, but I don't understand what that means. What are they doing?
Being mean to me,
And
being nasty to me, bullying me, putting me down like I have nothing to say, I guess.
so they're being mean and they bully. And so what is it that they are doing specifically to you? They're calling you names, but you don't want to tell me the names. They're taking you to the grocery store, and he calls his sister to let her know that you're going to the grocery store. What is mean or bullying?
Because I had told my daughter to stay away from me, and now my son is helping her to come down to the store to be there. I guess so. I'm going to get another stroke then.
Mr.
Because
Knox,
I'm so petrified, I'm so scared what they've been doing to me.
but I'm not hearing that they're doing I need help. I need you to explain what they are doing to you that causes you to be in such fear.
That's the best way I can explain it. And if
They're
it's not good
mean
enough,
and they
I don't know
bully.
what to do.
Okay, because I would need more detail, ma'am. If you want me to grant you a protection order, I need more detail about what they're being mean about specifically. If they're calling you names, whatever they're doing, I would need that specifically. Mr. Nachtigall, do you have anything you would like to say? No.
Well, I have a choice here. I either walk out and leave my place. And because he tried to get my husband to do something mean to me too, but he said, I can't do it because I know you will leave me if I do it. So, and I don't want to have another stroke or heart attack. And I just have to move out, honey. I cannot be around.
Move out.
I have to.
I don't have anything done to you.
No, you haven't. You caught yourself. You were going to go to follow what the RN wanted you to do, but you stopped yourself.
I wonder.
But if she's gonna come around me and sneak around me and our son too, I cannot live like that, Fred. I have to.
Do you need help packing your bags? Honestly, I can't stand when people play the victim just to manipulate others into giving them what they want, especially when it's obvious she's not going anywhere, considering all the medical conditions she just finished listing.
And she's getting all my grandchildren to start being mean and nasty to me too. I mean, what kind of life is that for me? I've been petrified.
But the only thing that you can tell me that she's making your granddaughters say anything is that your granddaughter 3 years ago said something mean to you, but you can't remember what it was.
That it was pretty nasty, okay?
Well, I appreciate that.
And I never heard those words before, but it was pretty nasty. And the way my son is treating me behind his back too. I mean, it's just.
My suggestion is that you all engage in some kind of family therapy and try and figure out what's going on and why you perceive, for example, your son calling your daughter to say that you're going to the grocery store, why you perceive that as a threat. Because I don't understand the threat. And from what you're telling me,
threat
wait,
is-
let me finish. What I am hearing you say is you wrote a note to her a year ago and she has stayed away from you. But she still is apparently keeping track of you. But I don't see what the threat of that is really. And so I think what is probably more helpful, ma'am, is before you make a rash decision, like just moving out of your house, is that you talk with a therapist about with your husband, with your daughter, with your son, whoever wants to be involved, and try and figure out what's going on and why you're perceiving threats where they may not exist.
But they won't tell me what's wrong. I've been asking my daughter, why are you doing this? She won't answer me. Then she double abused me.
And what was the double abuse? Tell me what she did.
Verbal abuse. I mean,
What did she say to you?
I just don't want to remember it because it's so bad.
So I can't, that doesn't give me anything to work with.
So I have my whole family against me because of my daughter. And then it started.
It may be your perception, Ms. Noctegal, that your whole family is against you, but maybe they're not. Mr. Noctegal.
Then why would they abuse me?
I can't say that they have abused you because you can't tell me what they've done. I don't know why you're perceiving certain things as abuse. Mr. Noctegal, do you think the family is abusing your wife?
I really don't like to answer. This is so complicated, and I'm going to hurt her and make it worse. I like not to talk about it.
Now that's a smart man. One who has probably spent most of his life wondering how he always ends up stuck in a perpetual loop of no-win situations.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to put you in the middle. I just think that you need to go to a counselor, Ms. Noctegal.
I've done that too.
Okay, with your family maybe? Or with your
by
husband?
myself to help me with my trauma.
Your
And
trauma.
the PTSD.
What PTSD?
Everything started when I was helping my son for the business.
And I did read your statement.
Yeah,
You
and-
think that your daughter was jealous because
And
you
his
helped your
wife
son.
was actually physically attacking me, okay? I would have, my lawyer at that time was going to file criminal charges against her and put her into jail. I didn't want him to do that because of her children. She had a 2-year-old daughter and she was pregnant with the second one. And then she had another third daughter. There's only one daughter that is a wonderful granddaughter. She didn't want to go through and do me any harm. And she came to me and told me, Oma, she calls me in German, Grandma Oma. And I know what malignant narcissist is.
Okay, so
And
you-
I know what a covert narcissist is. I said, you do?
Okay.
And she actually apologized for what her mother did to me.
Okay, okay. I am not going to grant you a temporary protection order. I don't
Okay.
find that you have proven by a preponderance of the evidence that what acts really occurred that would have caused you to feel that you are at risk or threat of physical harm or
So they can't do
psychological or
anything that
emotional
wrong to
harm.
me then. Thank you.
That is not at all true. What I still suggest to you is that If people come to your house, that could be, and they're not invited, that's trespass. You can call the police about that, but it doesn't sound like that's what she's doing. Either one, I mean, and you are relying on your son for help with a lot of things.
Well,
it
I told
sounds
her,
like.
I'm gonna call 911 if you just come around me.
Right, so she's not coming around you. So my suggestion is that you go to a counselor. I don't know when the last time that you went to a counselor was, but I think that it might be worth you all talking to a counselor, maybe a family counselor, to see if you all, at least with your son, certainly your son is helping you with
That's
things.
not gonna help
With your-
me. I'm sorry, that's not gonna help me
Okay.
being afraid of them. What am I gonna
It
do?
might, ma'am, because I think possibly, I'd like you to consider whether you are perceiving a threat where none exists. So I would just like you to consider that there may not be a threat, that maybe your family is just trying to keep an eye on you to make sure nothing
You could
happens to you.
see her evil face when she comes after me when I'm trying to get away from her.
Okay.
She doesn't talk to me. She doesn't say anything. So there's no argument. There's nothing. She just do everything in secret.
Well, if everything is supposedly happening in secret, then the real question is, how do you even know? And after that, you need to ask yourself whether all of this is actually real or if it's just something playing out inside your own head.
All right. I just think that maybe it might be helpful to you to talk with your doctor as well about any medications that might be helpful to you. But I am not hearing that I just don't have enough to go on. You can obviously, if you decide that you can maybe put your mind to it, what they have actually said to you, what threats they've said, what
They're not gonna
names,
answer
what,
that. They're
no,
not gonna
it's
answer
from
that.
you. If you, there's two alternatives and maybe both should happen. One, find a counselor to talk with a counselor and just be honest about what the threat, why you're perceiving a threat when maybe none exists. Second option, hold on, let me finish.
I have to stop right now.
Okay,
I feel my blood pressure is going up high.
okay, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Okay, that's.
I just can't find.
The second option is that you get, you sit down, think about names that they've called you or what really is bothering you, specific things that bother you, and come back to the court, okay?
No, you won't see me again. I'm sorry.
Okay,
But thank you for trying to help me. But
Okay.
that's not helping me any.
all right, all right. I don't think a protection order helps you either, so, all right.
Well, it should have. It would have helped me. My protection, I would have felt more lighter. I don't know. But now I'm really petrified.
Okay.
Now I'm so scared I don't even know what to do. I'm a nervous wreck, honey. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, you can always come back if you feel that you can recall specifically what's happened. And I will consider your request for a protection order. But I think at this point, it would be more wise for you to talk with your doctor or a therapist about your concerns. All right? And certainly if you're able to talk with your counselor and the counselor thinks that you're at risk, he can always come.
I'm shaking.
Do you need water or anything? Do you need us to call the EMTs? Would you like us to, they're right down the street. Do you need us to call
No, it's okay. I'd rather die anyway. So anyway, thank you.
okay, thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you.
I love when judges are stuck in those awkward goodbye moments, like when someone says they'd rather die than accept the court's ruling, and the judge just responds with, "Okay, have a good day." And with that, we'll wrap up today's video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to hit the like button. If you didn't, go ahead and hit dislike. Don't forget to leave a comment down below and subscribe with notifications turned on so you don't miss any of my future content. I'm Team Skeptic, and I'm out. Music.